Good evening and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, tonight's video is The Invisible College. The Invisible College is an RPG written by RPGPundit, and it is an authentic magic, occult, OSR RPG. So I know that's kind of a mouthful, um, but it does lend itself to the fact that this is a genre that I'm not very familiar with, and that might be because it is very much underserved, or this might be, a very unique product and a unique look at tabletop role playing games in general, because this is a genre that I really haven't come across, or certainly it's kind of Call of Cthulhu esque in the fact that it's set in a more modern era, but I think this one is even more modern than 1920s or 30s Call of Cthulhu. Uh, but it's also written in a style when RPG Pundit uses the term authentic, he's tapping into real world views on the various topics he's talking about. So in Lion and Dragon, which is his authentic medieval, fantasy RPG, there are many historical facts that can be found in that RPG, even though it is a fictional piece of work. It's a historical fiction, and I think that's where he went with this as well. So when he says authentic magic, this is how the real world, through certain belief systems, viewed magic. With now, this could be very old school views of magic, where the occult and they believed in witchcraft and that sort of thing, and then he ties that into a more modern belief systems like you'd come across, and when I say modern, I mean post 1800s or so. So you have those types of occults that are represented in the book, and that's the kind of the theme and dynamic of this RPG, and I will get into more detail with it. But I have done a flip through of it, so this is kind of like a first look and a half, and that's because there were a few things that I wanted to impress upon and make sure that I got down correctly, because the RPG Pundit is going to be on my channel during a live stream tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So this is one of the rare occasions that I actually got a new product in the mail and had already pre-arranged for, and actually this was a Christmas present, but so it arrived on the 25th, and I had already set up this interview with the RPG Pundit, and so I was I was like, great, it's perfect timing, because I knew I was getting this as a present, and I wanted to have a few days to take a look at it, even though I never got around to actually looking at it until today. I flipped through it very quickly. So without further ado, let's jump right into taking a closer look at the Invisible College. So I don't have the PDF, so that's one of the downsides to getting something as a present. So at least I didn't pay for it, but I got it as a present. But I will get around to possibly getting the PDF, and I'll go into more details as to why I think that's important. So here it is, the Invisible College softcover. It is a huge book. So this normally sells for, I think, about $50, or maybe $55 or so. Soft cover was a little bit cheaper. I didn't actually like post shop and look and see, but I know it's about $50, and it's 430 pages. So this is a big book. All right, everything that you need to run it. I always prefer to get a single volume RPG, so completely self-contained. You have, the information for players, the information for the game master, and then a monster manual or something similar to that. So everything in one volume. So that's great. If you compare it to others, they might run you closer to $60 or $80 for what you're getting here. So it's a good bargain as far as that's concerned. Flipping through it, you can see the interior, and you'll get a better look when I go to the desktop view, but the artwork is incredible. Full color, full page colored plates here. The art style is really nice, and I think because of the color, like the parchment color of the paper, when you overlay the art over that, it gives the artwork, either it blends in very well with it, or and the style was made particularly for this kind of a page coloring, or that's just a result of it being overlaid and not by design, and it just comes off looking really good. So that's certainly something I'm going to ask about. Ask about when I speak to RPG Pundit tomorrow night, and I'm going to ask him about actually putting this thing together, and what went into the decisions that he made in putting together this book, because the book is really nice. So let's get on to taking a look at the inside of it. So I'm going to have to mess around a little bit with this. Like I said, I don't have the PDF, so I can't just flip through it. So let's make sure that this is working fine, and I will make some minor adjustments here, and hopefully you'll be able to see it fairly well. Now, I'm obviously not going to read through the entire thing, but I will focus on a few pages here and there. So we have a little excerpt here. So, to me, a book is a message from the gods to mankind, or, if not, should never be published at all, by Aleister Crowley. Not sure who that is. I'd have to research it myself. You can see this very occult-looking symbol here. The accreditation. So all written content is the intellectual property of the RPG Pundit. The work is published under the OGL game, so the Open Game Licensing, permitted third-party publisher to add to the work through supplements to as long as profitable accredited applied. All right. Cover art may be reproduced for review purposes. All right, which I sort of did for this video as well. And it's copyrighted by Lion's Den Studios, and all artwork is copyrighted by Well of Erd Press. All right. So let's take a look at the table of contents here. And one thing I noticed during my very first look through, and I want to point out here, let's see if I can get it all, and I can't quite do that. But so you have your introduction, you have the real magical world, you have enemies of the invisible college, you have national agencies in the occult war, you have real magical organizations of non-Western origin, you have secret societies, you have the starting campaign, then you get the character creation. So he spends 6 chapters. Now, granted, the 6 chapters is, about 36 pages, but 36 pages, starting from the very beginning of the book, is just setting up the concept of the world and the theme of this RPG before you even get to creating a character. So, and I think that's very important for both the game master to have a full understanding of the world first, and then look into creating characters to put them into the world. And I think it's important for players to actually see that first I have to understand the world that my characters are going to be in before I can actually create a character. And that way you start to create a character concept uh, that's automatically going to fit into the world. I think all of us who are experienced game masters or dungeon masters um, have encountered that player that comes to your campaign with a character concept before they even know what the campaign is about, all right, or before they know what setting they're actually bringing the character to, and that always causes a problem. Even if you are doing a session zero, that still causes a problem because now you have to um, turn back that expectation and basically tell the player, no, that's not going to work. So here he's starting off with all of that setup first, and I think that's really really important. Let's continue. So we have starting a character. I'm sorry, creating a character. Whole structure and resources, skills, experience and advancement, equipment, and then magic. All right. So I would say that chapters 7 through 10. So from character creation through experience and advancement is all very character focused. Or actually through equipment is all very character focused. Whole separate section on magic, and that's clearly an important subchapter to deal with, because perhaps not all characters are have the ability to cast magic or use magic. I haven't gotten into the system and seen how it actually works, but that will be the focus of another video to be upcoming. So game master procedures, creation, creatures and opponents. So this is the game masters section. So chapters 13, 14, and 15, adventure seeds, all of that. So appendix 1 is famous members of the Invisible College. So once again, here we get into, and you can't quite see the appendix 1. Let me shift this. Nope, that's not going to work. Yeah, I just can't quite. There we go. So appendix 1 is famous members of the Invisible College. Then power clusters. I don't know what that means, but I'll take a look at it. And then the player record sheet. So let's turn to the player record sheet, because a lot of times you can tell a lot about a system if you take a look at just the character sheet. So let's see. We have the Invisible College. So here is the character sheet, and there's 2 of them here. You have one in white, so it makes it a little more printer friendly, and then you have the one in the same color background. So one thing I can see, because this is going to end up being a usable copy for me, and I really do hate having to brutalize books and opening them and such like that, and so I like player character record sheets to be on the back cover. It's just a pet peeve of mine. When I see it, I'm like, thank you for doing that. Or, to potentially have them perforated so that you can remove them easily. But in this case here, it's actually on the back of a page. That's just one minor criticism that I would say, is that if you put this on the back here, oh, that would be phenomenal, because now you can just very easily print it. So for a future game, certainly consider doing that, because that's a big plus. Okay, so now we're looking at the real magical. Actually, let's look here. Let's get into the introduction. The Invisible College is an OSR rule set for running a modern occult fantasy game. It is set in the modern world, but one where behind the surface of regular society there is a secret conflict to determine the future of humanity, being fought by different factions of occultists. Throughout the human history, hidden behind organized religion and public superstition, there has been a genuine, perennial philosophy, a secret teaching of the ages that is known only to a select few. Those who have the chance to be initiated into the mysteries will be able to transform themselves into magicians who can manipulate reality at levels incomprehensible to ordinary people, and a select few will become masters able to guide and influence the course of the spiritual evolution of all humanity. But some of those who have discovered this secret truth recoil against it, wanting instead to destroy that which threatens to the state of things as they are. Others embrace it for their own sinister purposes, seeking personal power and the opportunity to dominate humanity under their rule. So, for untold ages, a secret occult war has been fought between those who seek to illuminate humanity and those who seek to dominate it. The Invisible College has been, for the last 400 years, the champions of the effort to bring illumination to the world, and many of the great many of the great social and technological advances of humanity have been thanks to their secret guidance, but they are opposed by a variety of more sinister groups that will manipulate the mundane world to rule it, or in some cases even to destroy humanity. Player characters in the Invisible College are members of one hall or cell of the Invisible College, engaging in missions to oppose the counter-illuminists' forces, even as they individually gain abilities and powers and navigate the various pitfalls of the path of magic. They will confront human and inhuman forces who seek to gain influence over the mundane world. So that's pretty much the theme. And like I said, it's a modern occult fantasy theme to this, and one, like, I mean, you can say that there's an element of Call of Cthulhu in that, and but without the mythos attached to it. So they do have cults and those kinds of things, and certain magics and ceremonial magics and stuff in Call of Cthulhu, but that is all tied to the Cthulhu mythos. Here, it just seems that it's tied to long-held mysterious beliefs and followings. And as I read in that first section, only 90% of the people that even practice some of this stuff truly understand what's going on. And that gets into over here, the real magical world, where he actually talks about the numbers of the number of people. So those that usually follow the occult and follow these various belief systems and such, for the most part, they're 95% or 90% full of crap. I mean, they're just cosplaying, as he goes into talking about it here, and it's their connection to it is more performative than like performative art than it is, and possibly even like virtue signal, rather than a true belief in what they're doing and following. So, and once again, like I said, I will focus on this, the artwork when these come up here. And you can see the artwork is really exceptional. I don't know if I can let this zoom in and just catch up. It's the clarity. There we go. So much more clearer image. Yeah, once in a while the camera has to get caught up. So that's what the magic world, the real magic world, is all about, this section here. And I haven't fully gone through it. I know when I first flipped through, so this is the enemies of the Invisible College, and I came to this here and I was like, my gosh, that's Raymond Burr. So I don't know what this came from, what what either movie or TV show that this was from, but that's certainly Raymond Burr. If anyone argues that that's, just accidentally, an image of him, that's just not plausible. But now I'm curious to see what this was taken from. But we move on to the enemies of the Invisible College. And so you're going to have various factions or cults that are opposed to the Invisible College. Remember, the Invisible College is the one that is trying to illuminate humanity to these understandings. And those that are opposed to them are either looking to just prevent that from happening or looking to manipulate what they truly know about the magical world for the purposes of controlling others. And he goes through and lists some of the organizations and such. So here we have the Order of Thule, or the Order of Thule, however you pronounce it. And when I first come across this and I see some of the symbolism that's here, you have to remember that there is a historical context to the rise of Nazi Germany and the occult. All right, and so there's many stories about some of their leadership's belief in the occult and searching out these things, and that's the historical fiction part that I'm talking about here, or that I think that the RPG Pundit is writing about here, that this isn't just fiction. It has elements of truth to them. That's very interesting, and it helps create a very a believable setting when you have some elements of the true world tied into it, especially when you're doing something set in a modern era. And you'll see some of these organizations and such are known organizations. Like there's one section where he talks about the Illuminati, and many people most likely have heard of the Illuminati and have a general sense of what they're associated with. There was also a section that was talking about the Freemasons and Skull and Bones, which in American presidential politics has come up from time to time. Usually, previously, like during the George Bush the senior, it came up from time to time, and even during Barack Obama's presidency, it also had come up, where it's kind of tied to the Ivy League schools in some sense. So yeah, there's a lot of social historical context that this is trying to tap into, as well as it being also a fictional setting. So the National Agencies of Occult War, and so you're going to have various organizations, whether real or fictitious. I haven't actually dug through them yet to see, but you do have government agencies from across the world that are involved in this cover up, this conflict, this trying to advance it, trying to hinder it, trying to utilize it for good, trying to utilize it for bad. And so you have various organizations, government organizations involved in delving into that. Real magical organizations of non-Western origin. And so, as I suspected, you would have India and China. A little bit more on India here. I would assume that there will be some Japanese as well. So all across the world, this occult war is taking place through 400 years of time, and Although this is set in the modern setting, you're going to see it played out in that way. Some more full plate art. Secret societies, the Bohemian Grove. Here we have the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Opus Dei, ultra-conservative, fundamentalist, Roman Catholic. They are not magicians of any kind, and their membership would be appalled at the very suggestion. Sounds almost like the Spanish Inquisition. Rosicrucians? It's probably French. I cannot read French, so or it could be Latin as well. But Skull and Bones, as I mentioned. So starting a campaign, he goes into this, and actually I'm going to save this for a different video. So when I do starting a campaign and get into actually bringing characters into it, I will spend that time with it. Now, I did mention earlier that I was going to take a look at the character sheet and spend a little time just looking this over. And I know it's kind of at an angle here, so it'll be harder for you to see unless I really mess around with this here. Maybe it'll catch up. So we have the name, the age, the magical motto, an alignment, occupation, degree, office, and hall. Remember, you select a hall that your character is in. So I don't want you to mistake this, and I'm sure RPG Pundit does not want you to mistake this for... This is not like a school of wizardry. This is not, this is not Hogwarts. This is not Strixhaven. This is a much more realistic, or authentic occult RPG. And so, if you want to say that it's more serious minded, I think that's what he's kind of going for. Is that this is not going to be whimsy, and it's not going to be outrageous. It's going to be someplace in between, with potential, like not quite Call of Cthulhu, Eldritch horror either. Although I think it will be dark, at times as well. Really looking forward to digging into it. So we have experience levels, backstory, wealth, social background, skills, educational background, skills. We have strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. So that is one of the elements that makes a system an OSR system, is that it uses the 6 essential attributes that you see in all derivative OSR games. You have practices, theories, and special techniques. We have hit points, we have saving throws, we have armor class, we have movement, combat bonus. We have, let's see, I could read it better here on, so mental trauma levels. That's something interesting and new. Mental trauma levels. Let me use the white one. You might be able to see it a little bit better. Let it catch up. I hope it does catch up. Maybe it won't. Catch up. There you go. Megalomania, paranoia, and disconnection. So these are the mental trauma levels. You probably have a value in each of those, and then you can test to see maybe the more the character learns, the more the character becomes megalomaniac, or the more he or she learns on the negative side, the more paranoia they get, and a disconnection. I don't quite know what that means. Maybe they just get disconnected from reality. At a certain point, if that reaches 0, they're completely gone. But like I said, this is a first look through. magical benefits, attainment, and magic. Attainment might be their how much magic they actually have control over. I can't show you that, unfortunately. Um, can't stretch it out that far, but it's kind of, oh, there it is. Um, so yeah, like I said, when you read over a character sheet, there's a lot of things that you can glean from that that kind of inform you what the gameplay is going to be like. And so here you have your six very common attribute scores. And so those are obviously going to play some role in the character skills and such. So really looking forward to seeing that. That adds that familiarity of system that I'm going to switch views here. That adds that familiarity of system that allows it to be much more open to new players because they might have played something else and it ties in, a little bit easier for them. Um, just a real quick look through this. It's really only the second time that I've flipped through it and focused on certain areas. Really excited about this game. Really excited to talk to RPG Pundit tomorrow night. Again, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, live stream. Just a one-on-one with RPG Pundit, talking primarily about the Invisible College, and the steps and the choices that he made in creating this game system. I also want to talk to him about that layout question that I had. Like, was it a real um, purposeful thing on his part to say, I want to start this book off with front loading concepts of setting a campaign before you get the character creation? And then just in general, what brought him to the idea of tapping in on uh, modern occult as being a theme that is that is something, like I said, like I haven't seen this theme really represented in the tabletop RPG hobby very much, if at all. And so this is either an underserved genre, or it's a genre that I guess some people feel is very Call of Cthulhu esque, but this certainly has a different feel to it than that. And so that, I think, is something that's important to take a look at. And like I said, I can't wait to speak to him tomorrow night, just focusing on this game and focusing on his process of producing. Because if you didn't know, RPG Pundit is one of the most prolific independent creators of RPG products that you find on Drive Through RPG, or just in other print modes. I mean, I'm sure I got this as a gift, purchased from Amazon, and so I mean, he is one of the most prolific, if not probably the most prolific OSR creator out there. And so really, really looking forward to speaking to him on a one-to-one. And I will have it open for people, obviously, in the comments section to ask questions and such, and we will focus on some of those as well. But for the first good portion of the interview, we're going to focus on the Invisible College. Then a second part would just be the OSR in general, and then a third will address some of your questions, unless something really comes up that he wants to jump in on, and then we'll do that as well. So once again, thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed this video. Um, I from what I'm looking at here, it looks like a really interesting game. If you're into that kind of thing, I strongly suggest that you take a good look at it and then decide whether or not you're going to buy it. But from my experience and looking at the product, it looks really good. And so, I had no problem, like I said, getting it. I asked for it as a Christmas present, so I was expecting to get it. And, for me, it was something that I certainly wanted to get my hands on. And then I will probably go around and then just pick up the PDF That way I can, print out those player character sheets. So that's the one thing. Remember, back of the book. Uh, Back of the book is always the best place for a character sheet. Um, Other than that, looks like it's a really great book. I'm hoping to actually play it. I'm hoping to run it, and how cool would it be to actually run the Invisible College at VentureCon, which is something that I'm intending on going to, and you know, maybe the Invisible College can mix in with Charlton. We'll have some kind of um, a Gonzo Invisible College kind of thing going on there. So that would be pretty cool. Although it probably just blew Venger and RPG Pundit's minds with that idea, but we'll see what comes of both things. Going through this game and then going to that convention and seeing what's I'm going to look to actually play and run while I'm there. So once again, thanks for joining. Um, Always remember, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Give it a thumbs up. Leave your comments. Any suggestions, questions that you want before my interview tomorrow, please leave those in the comments section for this video. And I will certainly take some of the best ones and put them up as banners while I'm doing the interview, so that remind myself and allow RPG Pundit to take a look at it, and then we can actually fold right into those. So I will take some of your comments from this video tonight and save those and get that presentation tomorrow all set up for that as well. So once again, enjoy, stay safe out there. Have a great new year. If you don't pop into my channel between now and the new year, I do plan on having several videos coming out over the next couple of days. It's going to be a very busy week for myself. My channel's anniversary is on the 30th, so I'm going to do a live stream on the 30th as well. So live stream tonight very briefly, just to test the system out and to just talk about a little item that I wanted to talk about. Then a live stream tomorrow, interview with the RPG Pundit, and then a live stream on the 30th, the anniversary of Unscripted and Unchained RPG review, where I'll kind of do a year in review and talk about the channel and just my experience with the channel over this past year and some of the things that I'm looking to do for next year. And as always, I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon. You stay safe, enjoy the rest of your week, and like I said, have a great new year if I don't see you between now and then. Take care.